Okay, the video is on.
Okay.
Hold on one second. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Welcome everybody. I am Giovanna Bonadonna. I am the garden coordinator, and I am going to start officially in a couple of minutes. I'm just gonna wait that everybody, tune in, and and we can then start. Okay, so be patient a couple of minutes, and we're gonna start.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Hello, it's me again. I just want to let you know that this meeting is also streamed on YouTube as a live YouTube streaming. So I'm gonna put here in the chat the link for YouTube, so you can see now. You should be able to
You just
see
wait till Alexis.
in the chat, so that if you have too much background noise or too much echo given by the fact that the YouTube meeting is going on at the same time, so maybe my computer is echoing basically the YouTube meeting, I suggest you to watch it on YouTube. It's gonna be the same thing, it's just a different platform, and you don't need password or nothing. It's just a YouTube video open to everybody. Okay.
What are you listening to? What are you listening to?
This is
All right.
Chris's thing.
Oh, it's on now?
Not yet.
Huh?
Not yet.
Can you please just mute yourself? I'm gonna mute the participants. Okay. It's just to reduce the noise and all that. So I think we can start.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Wrapping up.
Okay. Let's see. Hello, everybody. I just show up here. I hope you can hear me fine. I'm using the microphone from the computer, so I hope that's is reaching my voice. So welcome. Today I'm very glad to host Chris, also known as Chef B, to our event. we are very happy to be able to have this event today, even in this time where we are not allowed to have in-person event at the garden, as we usually do. But we came up with this idea, and I hope that it's going to be enjoyable. And maybe you can cook at the same time, so that we are gonna able to kind of reproduce what we usually offer to the community. I just want to spend a couple of words about the garden. The garden has been here for 11 years now, so it has been quite a bit. Um, for you, maybe some of you don't know much about the garden. So the garden is a place where the community can grow food for people that are food insecure. So people that cannot, afford a meal every day. Okay. On the top of that, we have also plots that we rent out to gardeners that are willing to become part of our garden. And so it's a kind of like a mix of individuals that love gardening and come together to grow food not just for themselves but also for other people. um, so I'm very proud and happy to be the coordinator of this project that has started with the School of Social Work at Mammoth University and is led by Dr. Robin Mama, which is also the Dean of the School of Social Work. Um, I just want to mention that if you want to support a garden and you are local, you can always sign up to volunteer. And I also want to mention that if you don't want to donate your time to the garden, we accept donations, and you can actually go on our website. You just Google, Mammoth University Community Garden, and you can find all the information on our website. So today, actually, the garden is called Virginia Corey Community Garden in memory of a lovely person, which is actually the mom of one of our um, gardeners. And we received this generous endowment. So today, the garden is basically is honoring her memory, and that's why today the name change in Virginia Corey Community Garden. Okay, so I think I'm done with the intro for the garden, and I'm very happy and pleased to introduce Chris. So if you want to tell something about you.
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the garden. My name is Chris Burgos, and I want to thank Giovanna and Robin for letting me be here to do today's demonstration. This set is one of the best kitchens I've ever worked in. It's just beautiful. There's birds and bees flying around and butterflies and hawks, and it's just a gorgeous night tonight. So I think we'll have a lot of fun. The idea tonight is to talk about items we could use from the garden to make salsas and to help just boost up any kind of meal you want to eat in your home. I know the theme of this was called tacos. We're gonna go past that to about all kinds of food. But before we do that, who am I? My name is Chris Burgos. I was born and raised in New York, grew up in the Bronx. I graduated from culinary school at the CIA, Hyde Park, New York in 1984. And I've been cooking professionally ever since. Currently, right now, I teach culinary arts at a high school in Manhattan called Food and Finance. Aptly, it's in Hell's Kitchen, New York. And I just basically been doing it my whole life. And hopefully I can pass on some information to you, some tips, some knowledge. And of course, I don't know everything, and you could teach me as well. But let's go ahead and have some fun with this. So to move forward, what I want to do first is discuss some of the items we could use that have grown in this garden. I'm going to make what's called a pico de gallo. It's a fresh tomato salsa. It literally means the beak of the rooster. Use a lot of Tex-Mex cuisine, Southern cuisine, tacos, all that kind of thing. All right. And once I make that, I'm going to tell you about how you could substitute different ingredients to go on to different variations of that salsa. And the ingredients are quite simple. We're going to start out with some tomatoes. Here's a plum tomato. Okay, it's also going to include some red onion, but in this case, I'm going to use a shallot. I'll show you again how to cut this properly. I'm going to go an acid. In this case, it'll be lime juice. All right. My chili or hot will be a jalapeno. I might add some scallions as well, and I'm gonna finish it off with salt and pepper and some cilantro. Okay. The first thing I've done already was to cut my tomatoes. Now I also am growing some golden cherry tomatoes here. You see them? They're beautiful. They're gorgeous. I just picked them about 5 minutes ago. I'm gonna add that to what I already have cut. Okay, and I'm also gonna use some cherry tomatoes like this. Now, how do we cut them? There's a variety of ways. It's up to you. It's your food. Do whatever you want. What I do initially is start cutting it from the North Pole to the South Pole so that I have 2 halves, just like so. Okay. Right now I can stop if I wanted to. If I wanted a chunky salsa, that's okay with me. But I want to go a little more fine, a little more fit on a fork size. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half again to get quarters. So that little cherry tomato has been cut into quarters, and that's the size I'm going to use for my salsa. I'm going to go ahead and put this to a bowl, and just give me a couple of minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of them. If you notice, when I cut these items, the grip of my knife, okay, I have 3 fingers around the handle, a thumb on one end, bottom of the blade, 4-finger here. That is professional and most the best grip to have on a knife. If you hold a knife this way with your 4-finger on top of it, you'll get tired very quickly. And let's say you're doing a party in your home, Thanksgiving, you're cutting a bunch of potatoes, that kind of thing. You'll last me about a half an hour doing it this way. Hold your knife this way without any fingers on the blade itself. You don't have much accuracy. Okay, so the best of both worlds right here. This is called a pinch grip. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting my tomatoes as such. Again, I'm cutting from the North Pole, the North Pole to the South Pole. All right, and I'm just making 3 cuts to create 4 pieces of those nice cherry tomatoes. Again, you can use any type of tomato you want. Today I'm using red and golden tomatoes. There's no strict rules about what kind of tomato you can use. It's up to you, your personal preference, you're eating it. Okay. I'm going to show you also how to cut a larger tomato so you get a small size. Let me just finish this first and we'll move on as far as that goes. Does everybody hear me? If I'm going too fast, let me know. I'll slow it down. I can use a couple of wipes. It's kind of hot out here. It's like a real professional kitchen right now. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, finish cutting these golden tomatoes. They taste like sugar. They're so sweet and beautiful, right from the ground just a little while ago. So I wish you guys could be here. It's unfortunate that we can't be here tasting the food and sitting around, chatting and socializing. But of course, we know we can't do that in this day and age. And hopefully you're cooking along and you can taste it as we go. All right. I had cut some at home before, so I was going to take these tomatoes now and dump them into my bowl as well. Okay, like such. Now, let's say I wanted to use a larger tomato. In this case, it's a plum tomato. Any size tomato use. What I'm going to use is wipe down. Even though it is just still tomatoes, you want to keep it clean. Again, cut from the North Pole to the South Pole. Cut it into 4 pieces, like so. And what you can do now is you have that root end. Hold it away from you or away from the knife and basically fillet that tomato so the seeds have all been removed from there. So basically all I have is the tomato, not the seeds. You don't want to eat seeds. Body does not digest them. They don't really taste so that good, so get them out of there. We already garden, we are composting, so nothing really goes to waste. I'm going to save all my scraps. Okay, and again, I don't know if you can see it. My tomatoes sitting like so. I'm going to take my knife and run it along, like filleting a piece of fish, cut it through. It includes the root end, all the seeds, and just take it out as such. Okay, keep on doing that. You have a larger tomato, same thing. Cut it so that you can get to those seeds and fillet it like a fish to remove the seeds and what have you. Back in the day, in classical kitchens, you do what's called concasse, where you would take the seeds and the skins off there because the skin's is not digestible either. But it's salsa. We kind of just roughen it today. That's gonna be fine. Now you're gonna take your piece, like call it fillet, and go ahead and cut it into a strip. Okay. In the business, this is called a batonette. About that size is good. Okay. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut across that to create what's called a small dice. Does it have to be perfectly accurate? Of course not. You're home, you're cooking for your family. If you're getting paid for it in a restaurant, of course you're gonna get a little more accurate. But as far as this goes, we just want to make sure the tomatoes cut so this way it's palatable and you can fit it into your mouth basically. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that into more strips. I'm gonna cut that across like so. Add this to my bowl as well with my other cut tomatoes. And so right now I have cherry tomatoes that are cut in half and then quartered, and now I'm adding some diced, plum tomatoes. They're all uneven looking, that kind of thing. It's rustic, I really don't mind because it's basically from home. So don't get all caught up about being so perfect. As long as it tastes good, that's all that really matters, as I'm concerned. Okay, so now my tomatoes are cut. My next step is to go to my chilies. In this case, I'm using jalapenos. I have them cut already into a cut that's called brunoise or confetti cut. Very, very, very tiny little cuts like so. Okay, I'm gonna just dump those right in with my tomatoes. Now, how do I get to a brunoise? Okay, with a jalapeno. So here we have a jalapeno. These are grown in this garden. Okay, I'm gonna take the stem off. Of course, use that for compost. Take my tomato, I'm sorry, my jalapeno, and cut it again, just like the tomatoes, from North Pole to the South Pole into quarters. And again, just like the tomato, I have seeds that are available to me. I'm gonna go ahead and start filleting those seeds out of the pepper. Now, if you like hot peppers and hot flavors, you're gonna want to keep those ribs and seeds in that pepper because that's where the heat comes from. If you want a little more mild, not so hot, you're gonna go ahead and get those out of there. This way you're not burning yourself. Okay, very important to say also, once you're working with chilies, make sure you wash your hands really well before you touch your face, or God forbid go to the bathroom, you're gonna have problems in that regard. Okay, so once I get rid of all those seeds, again, we're composting here. I'm gonna go ahead and put them in my compost bag. All right, and they're not going to waste. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and give my knife a little wipe down. Make sure I don't touch my face. And again, now we're gonna go into what's called our brunoise or confetti cut. Again, we have a full of pepper, right? Now we're gonna go what's called julienne, a really, really, really fine strip of pepper, like to what's called our brunoise or confetti cut. And again, take your time. It's not a race. It's not a rush. Try to get as accurate as you can because you want that food, to taste all the same. Okay, and just cut those as such. And then you're going to cut across them to make our confetti cut. And this one here is a small cut. So you're going to go ahead and cut it as finely as possible. And that goes in right with our tomato. These up. That sucks all the hot air out. Not so in the garden. So it's a little bit challenging, but we'll get through it. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and finish this pepper off the same way, cutting across the strips to create your miniature, tiny little dice. Right, you don't want the same size tomato. That won't be such a good mouthfeel. And if your chili's really, really hot, that's gonna lead to burning. Make the tomato about twice the size as chili, so you get a nice contrast in texture and flavor and what have you. All right, next thing, I'm gonna move on to my onion part of this salsa. I have a choice. I'm gonna do both of them. Okay, I have here shallots. You can use red onion, yellow onion. Again, it's up to you. I'm gonna show you how to get a nice dice out of an onion. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut both ends off. Then I'll go ahead and cut again, North Pole to South Pole. This way you get a nice, easy way to peel this onion, right? Shallots and onion family, very sweet, kind of mild as well. Right, and that's enough for me right there. I'm gonna go with that. And again, this goes into the compost pile. And there's a certain way to dice onions so that you can get a pretty accurate dice shape out of them. Right, I'm gonna show you how to do that right now. Again, you know, if you don't want to go to trouble doing that, it's fine. You know, you cook it for yourself, for your home, that kind of thing. But if you want to have a little finesse, a little more style to it, this is what you're gonna do. If you notice the onion, I cut it in half, correct? I'm gonna place it with the root end away from me. I have one cut already made there. The natural layers of that onion, like rainbows, like arcs, okay? Every onion also will have stripes on it, okay? Use those as your guideline for your next cut. So you take your knife, you notice your knife does not reach all the way to the cutting board on the tip, all right? So if you go ahead and just take that knife and make cuts down into the onion, okay, you will not go through the edge, right? And what you're gonna do is form a fan out of that onion. So now I have two cuts, the natural layers, the rainbows. I have these cuts along the lines to make that fan. My last cut now, we go to cut across those cuts I just made, and I'm gonna get now a nice dice from that onion or shallot or whatever you're cutting, okay? And now I have some nice, I mean, I think perfect dice, of course not, because you know, nothing grows evenly, but you see, you do have a nice small dice there. And that's it. If I were to go back and start chopping it like so, I'm not gonna have an even shape, right, or an even size. I'm gonna have just minced onion. If you wanna do that, that's up to you. But if you want to get some nice dice, you might go ahead with that, that procedure. A little bit of work in, pays off. That's enough for me, I think. So I'm gonna stop there. Okay, again, I'm gonna save this in my compost bucket. Like I said, I wanna use both onions and scallions. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do scallion. I might just add one right now, okay? Oops, my mise en place in front of me. Cut the end off here. Okay, if you want to use these, you can. I used to deep fry these, using them garnish on the plate. If you don't want to do that, of course, you can just go ahead and put them in the compost pile. All right, and then you have your greens part. The end of the greens usually are kind of beat up sometimes. Just cut that off. Don't use it. You know, the rule is in the kitchen, if you wouldn't eat it yourself, then don't serve it. Okay? And now I have my scallion, which I am going to go ahead and start to slice. If you see on the bottom some layers there that are kind of nasty looking, like you wouldn't want to eat them, peel them off. Again, save them in the compost pile, now you're ready to go. Okay? I want to cut these on what's called a bias, right? A slant. Because when you cut vegetables on a slant, you expose more of the more inner space or more surface area of that vegetable to get more flavor exposed. So I'm gonna go ahead and start slicing it. Okay, it looks elegant. The more thin you get it, the more you're gonna get, you know, as far as volume goes. And because it's cut on a bias like so, all right, instead of just having a little bit of that scallion showing or exposed surface area, we have more because it's on a bias. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I use the whole scallion, the green and the white. I know some chefs say, you know, the white's not usable, that kind of thing. Well, I disagree. I use it all. Why let it go to waste? Throw that in there as well. Okay, so right now I have tomatoes, I have jalapenos, I have shallot, I have scallions. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna go for is my acid. In this case, I'm gonna go with some lime juice. Okay. As far as cutting citrus fruits go, lemons, what you want to do ahead of time is take them and roll them to break up that inner membrane and release a lot more juice. Okay, you can feel it. You can feel it breaking up. This way you know you're going to have a lot more juice now. Okay? Go ahead and cut it in the fours, any way you want. Tough one. Okay, I'm going to start with just squeezing two quarters of the lime in there. A nice citrus flavor to it. Okay, and then of course when I taste it later on, if I need to adjust seasonings, of course I'll do so then. but I've been doing this long enough to kind of have a feel for it. I think 2 is going to work for me right now. These 2 I'll put aside and get to it later. Excuse me, but I got to keep wiping my face because it is quite hot and I don't want to sweat my food. So please bear with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. What makes this salsa great, I think anyway, is the herbs. And again, these herbs can be grown in this garden. The same thing, you can grow the onions here, you can grow the scallions here, the tomatoes, everything. I'm gonna go with what's called cilantro, right? Cilantro, okay? It kind of looks like parsley, so be careful when you go to the store to buy it, but it's a little more thin. It has a more rounded edge on the leaf, okay? And it smells very piquant and very almost citrusy as well, okay? I know some chefs that want to pick the leaves off the stems because, you know, they just want the leaves themselves. It's like, you understand something, more of the flavor of an herb, a fresh herb, is found in the stem than in the leaf. So if you get a chance to keep that, use that stem, go ahead and do it. And because cilantro has such a fine, delicate stem, I use the whole thing. Okay. Again, if I was in a restaurant, I might not because of the eye appeal, right? But I'm home cooking for my family, for my friends. I don't think they'll mind too much of seeing a stem in their salsa. And I just go ahead and start cutting that. You can go rough chop here, so you can have more of a bite for that cilantro. Every time you take a bite, you can go a little more medium dice, or sorry, chop, or you can go ahead and go really, really fine. Okay, I'm just gonna go here and start chopping it this way. When you chop food, the technique is hold the knife with your tip of your less dominant hand. Your dominant hand holds the blade, and you go up and down in this motion. The knife really shouldn't even leave the cutting board. You're using the shape of the knife itself, the blade, in a rock of motion to get that chopping going. I don't want to go too hard, then this whole cutting board is gonna go flying. I'll be end of the Zoom. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm a fan of not mincing and dicing too small because I like to have a rustic look, but also I have to, bite into the food to really taste it. I go for a medium chop where you'll still see some of the shape of the leaf itself. To actually taste it when I take a bite into it. So I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add this now to my salsa. Be careful this way. I'm using my finger against this blade. You might want to use something else because that blade is really, really sharp. You might have a tendency to cut yourself, but just be careful. Safety first, no matter what. Safety first. Okay, and I go ahead and put that all inside there. Okay, I'm basically set. I might want to go a little bit of olive oil, but today I'm not going to. Salt and pepper. Key here. Salt and pepper is key to all cooking. It's flavor. I have some pre-ground peppercorns there and some pre-ground sea salt here. Okay. And now I take a spoon, mix that up.
As Chris is mixing, I just want to remind you that if you have any question, you can always type it in the chat, and as I am in front of the computer, I can, read the question aloud.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if you can see this or not, but here you have a beautiful salsa and everything else in there, and that's just beautiful as far as I'm concerned. Okay, this goes really well, like I said, with tacos. You could also add it to a grilled chicken breast. You could put it into a sandwich on a hamburger, all kinds of possibilities. Make it into almost a liquid. Use that in any kind of dish you want to as well. Very versatile. You can do all kinds of things with that. If you wanted to get it hotter, all right, you might want to use a hotter pepper, like a jalapeno, not a jalapeno, a habanero or a Scotch bonnet. If you want scorpion peppers and ghost peppers, that kind of thing. Those are for those real chili heads. Those days are gone for me. If you wanted to use vinegar, olive oil to it, you can. If you wanted to go in Mediterranean bent, think like a bruschetta, what you would do is take the jalapeno out, substitute a bell pepper. Don't use cilantro. Maybe use oregano or basil. Add olive oil, salt, and pepper, right? Give it a little Italian flair. Take that now, put that on a grilled piece of bread. You're off to the races. Okay. Take that sauce in the Mediterranean style, heat it up a little bit, right? Make a Provençal sauce. Don't cook it all the way. Do it on pasta. You have a beautiful dish, summertime dish, really easy to do. So that salsa is very, very versatile. If I wanted to go into a Southwestern or Mexican bent with this, what I would do is take tomatoes out altogether and use tomatillos in place. I don't know if you can see them, but we have tomatillos growing here in this garden, you know, like out the wazoo. And hopefully later on, you know, maybe next month, I can show you how to do that. Okay. Almost the same exact ingredients, but you're going to add yellow onion, okay, some toasted cumin, ground cumin, right? And you're going to brown everything, right? You're going to either grill it or roast it so it's caramelized. It's cooked, this one. And that salsa then gets pureed. If ever you got in a Mexican restaurant and had a enchiladas verde, that verde sauce is made with tomatillos, and that's basically what you're going to do with this variation of this salsa. That's a tomatillo sauce. Okay, are there any questions right now? Anybody?
No.
No? You guys can hear me, right? Okay, so that's our salsa. I didn't taste it yet. I'm gonna go ahead and do that anyway.
Delicious. It smells good.
That's the thing. That's the thing I feel kind of bad about, that we can't taste this all together. I'm sure if you make it at home, though, you know, you guys know how to cook. I'm sure it's delicious as well.
I'm just gonna.
You know, think about that. You could use put that on a tortilla by itself, wrap it up, and use it as a dip. In the past, the uses are endless. The varieties are endless, depending on how you want what you want to do with it. And you know, experiment. That's what the kitchens are for. They're laboratories. Play around. You know, try new things out. Okay, so that's our salsa. The next thing I want to do is called a chimichurri sauce. And this basically is a pesto-based sauce. Comes from South America, Argentina, I believe. It is a very, very, very good country with meats, ground meats. They're really big on their beef down there. And basically, it's just a puree of herbs with seasonings added to it. Now, ideally, some chefs use food. Old-fashioned chefs would use a fork. I'm gonna go ahead and just take my knife and start chopping everything. The first ingredient we're gonna use is parsley.
I have a couple of comments.
Okay.
Someone is cooking, said they tasted it and it's delicious.
Okay. Thank you.
And
made it.
And they say that they love the cooking info because
Oh.
I guess some tips are always very welcome.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I'm glad you are enjoying that. It's everything. Because in this business, in this field, this craft, you'll learn new things every minute, every day. So you know you never stop learning. As far as chimichurri goes, it is heavy on the parsley. Okay, and like I said before, I'm gonna take my knife and just start chopping it. And because parsley has also a very, very tender and a delicate stem, you can use it. That's where the flavor is. Okay. Of course, the wind picks up now. I'm putting herbs on the, so they're flying around. So, an adventure in cooking. So again, I'm going to start with my chopping. Get that down to size. The smells are amazing. That's a great thing about canola. You smell is one of the best ones. And now I'm going to go ahead and start chopping this up. Right, chimichurri sauce. And I will give you some variations of this as well after we make it. So please bear with me. If you're cooking along with me, have fun with it. Just get it chopped. Now, as far as cutting herbs go, you want to make sure your knife is really, really sharp. Because if your knife is dull, what's going to happen is you're just going to bruise the food. Okay, you're not going to cut it, right? And if you don't cut it properly, what happens is that beautiful green herb turns black, it turns wet, it turns mushy. Okay, in the same regard, you want to make sure your herbs are dry. So if you start cutting wet herbs, you're going to lose flavor, you're going to lose texture, the colors kind of nasty. And I know if I got served, look, and I've turned off. Okay, even if you're making, regular, what people consider the classic pesto, basil and Parmesan and pine nuts and garlic, that kind of thing. If you're doing it this way, make sure it stays green. Oops, green should be green. I might not go all the way to the size I want because the wind is kind of picking up over here, and I want to not lose too much of the herbs. As you see, I went ahead and I chopped up this parsley. A real quick ratio, the one that works for me most of the time, is about 2 parts of parsley to about a half a part of cilantro to about a quarter part of oregano. Those 3 herbs go into a classic chimichurri. Now, of course, I know you can go on, all these kind of, food networks you have out there now, and you'll see all kinds of interpretations of this this pesto. Who's right or wrong doesn't really matter. It tastes good. People come, like it and say, well, it's fantastic. What does it matter, really?
I have a question. Says, which kind of parsley?
This is a flat leaf parsley. Okay, Italian flat leaf parsley. I'm not really a fan of the curly parsley. The flavor is not all there. It's hard to measure. It's a little more, I think, astringent as far as flavor goes. The flat parsley is nice and green flavor, nice, fresh, summery flavor to it. I'm a big fan of that. That's what I use. Back in the day, they used to use curly parsley as a garnish. And we made it in a diner. That's how I learned what parsley was, because it came on every plate. Okay. Those days are kind of over now, but flat leaf parsley, I think, is the way to go. But then again, like I said, it's all up to you. It's personal preference. If you happen to like curly parsley more than flat leaf parsley, you go ahead and use it. As long as the food tastes good, you're going to eat it. That's all that really matters as far as I'm concerned. Okay. So now my next herb I'm going to add to this is some more cilantro. Okay. So
I do have a question
Yes.
myself. Can you use, you said you can put fresh oregano in the summer, right?
Yeah.
But can we use like dry oregano or not?
Okay.
Really?
That's a good question, because there is a difference between dried and fresh herb. Okay. If by chance you don't have a fresh herb and all you have is a dried herb, okay, that dried herb is 3 times as strong as a fresh herb. In other words, it's 3 to 1, the ratio. It's 3 parts of a fresh herb will make 1 part of that dried herb. Okay. So if you need, let's say, 3 tablespoons of fresh oregano, you don't have it, 1 tablespoon of dry is going to even it out.
I see.
Okay.
So you can use it, just the ratio is going to be
You can
different.
use it, but the ratio is different. Fresh dried herbs, they're not really meant to be eaten raw. They're strong, and they're best cooked. This way they mellow out and become more palatable. All right. And I know, growing up in New York eating pizzerias, we put dried oregano all over the pizza. It tastes delicious. But the thing is, though, dried herbs are not meant to be eaten that way. You want to put some heat on them, cook them up a little bit, so this way they get mellowed out and taste the way they should. Okay. Now, I got my cilantro. And because the stem is so delicate and thin, because most of the flavor is in that stem, go ahead and just try to chop it to the same texture and size as I cut my parsley. And again, that rocket motion up and down is the way to do it. If I try doing it this way, I'm going slow. This way, I can really rock it out and get it done. There were times in the restaurant business when I was working, I had to do this. When I first started out, you got to chop, 20 cases of parsley. I'd have 2 chef knives in my hand at the same time. Long time ago. Now I have 13 rolls to do for me. I teach 9th grade, so.
Better to be
Yes.
careful of knives.
Yeah, exactly. Keep your fingers.
There's I wish I could chop veggies that fast.
A lot of practice, a lot of practice. If you want to see a chef who has great knife skills, Jacques Pepin. If you watch any video of his, this man is the best knife chef I've ever seen. And he's, you know, he's in his mid 80s and he practices out there. Whole carcass chicken, so that when he picks it up, like a set of pajamas with no bones in it, just cuts the back
Wow.
open. Yeah. When you do it, you with like, you know, chicken mousse or, you know, other things, and wrap it up and tie it and poach it. And that's called a galantine. So that's really old school, but that, you know, that's skills. But this man, you want to see a knife superstar? He's the one.
Hmm.
Okay.
There is another question.
Sure.
He said, how
Depending on how often, okay. This tool here that I have, this is called a steel. Okay. When using this, you know, I use it up here. Make sure your thumb is behind the handle here, so your knife does not hit your thumb. And you're gonna, okay, this only hones the knife, right? It wets it. It just re-straightens the blade. When you want to sharpen a knife, get a sharpening stone. And the idea is to run your knife in one direction, the same direction on each side of the stone or the steel, so the molecules of the knife the same direction. This way they stay sharp. As you use a knife, those molecules get moved around, the knife becomes dull. All right. So throughout the day, every 2 hours or so, you want to go ahead and straighten the knife. Okay. The idea, you know, for me anyway, when I was in the restaurant business, we sharpen our knives at the end of every shift. This is when we come in next morning, next day, our knives are sharp already. If you don't use a knife that often, I'd say, you know, you want a sharp knife at all times. I think it makes a lot of sense to learn how to do it yourself. Knife sharps is a lot of times they're kind of expensive, and it's something you can do yourself. You know, I think anyway. Learn how to do it yourself, and I'd say maybe once a week we find. You want to keep that blade sharp. You know, a dull knife is also a dangerous knife, because the more you have to put pressure on your knife to get through a piece of food, the more chance you have of slipping and cutting yourself. All right, and you want to be fast, you want to be accurate, but you want to be safe. And let's say I'm here, you know, trying to cut open a squash, and my knife is dull, and I'm, you know, leaning into it. That knife slips. That knife move, you know, goes the wrong way, and I'm walking around, you know, being called lefty from this my life. You know, so you don't want to do that. Okay, cleaning up. So now I have parsley and cilantro in that bowl, and now I go to my oregano. Okay. Again, this grows here, but a lot of stuff wasn't ready yet, so I went out and just, you know, purchased some. The beauty of it is, you know, you can start your own garden in your house, your backyard, live in an apartment. You can start on your patio. Not too much. I'm going to pull off these. You pull them off the ice away, they come off a lot easier. You don't want to stand there picking each leaf off. You know, you got to have, you know, something to do in your life. So just do it this way and pull them off, and it comes out quite easy, right? These stems, can I chop them? Not really, because they're kind of really thick and tough. You don't want to serve it to a family member, you know, unless you don't like them, or, you know, you don't want it to a customer. So in order to use these, what I could do is put them into a piece of cheesecloth, right? It's called a sachet bag, sachet de piece, right? And then submerge it like a tea bag to any soup or sauce or stew I'm making, and let those stems leach out their flavor into that liquid, that soup. And then once that flavor has been, you know, put into the liquid, you fish out the tea bag or the sachet bag. Your stems now have been used and you didn't waste them. Okay, I'm not doing that today, so I'm just going to go ahead and put them in the compost pile. All right, and now I'm going to take my oregano and start chopping that. Okay, and again, I go like a pretty medium to rough chop on this, nothing really fine. Right, so now I have my parsley, oregano, and my cilantro. What I'm gonna do next then is take my garlic to add to it. Where's my garlic? There.
No, I'm just gonna show
Yeah. Clove of garlic. Okay, the little piece here is called a clove, right? Not the whole head. You cut off the little end piece that's really, really tough and hard. It's like a little rock. You know, you don't want to eat that. Okay, and then take the side of your knife and just push down on the garlic. Hear it get crushed and crack, and now that skin should pop right off with no problem. Okay, you don't want to stand there with a paring knife peeling it. If you're gonna chop it anyway, why do that? Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead, take that paper off. I call it paper, save it, and now I start chopping my garlic. Now I want to go a mince, so almost like a paste. So I start by cutting it into small pieces.
we do have a question.
Okay.
I said, can you do the same with thyme stems?
Yes, any kind of stem. If they're hard and tough, like rosemary, thyme, in the classical sachet bag we use in French cooking calls for dry thyme. But you can use thyme stems as well. Parsley stems, bay leaf, black peppercorns. Okay, and that goes through there, and just drop it in there, and you have a nice flavorful little tea bag for your liquids. I went ahead and cut the garlic into small little pieces, and now I'm gonna use my knife to crush it. Not even cut it. It's salt right now is an abrasive. I'm gonna pull clove into a paste, almost like it's almost like a mortar and pestle idea. Okay, but instead of using a pestle, I'm going ahead and using the blade of my knife to crush it. And if you noticed, that is now a paste. Okay, if you want to go a little further, just crush it with your knife, and that's the best way to do that. Okay, because a lot of times, you stand there cutting garlic and look down, it's all gone, it's all over your knife, and so sticky, you lose it. Do it that way, you won't lose that much. I'm gonna add that right to my mixer. Right now, I have a lot of garlic on my knife, so it's getting a little sticky. Give me a minute. Let me clean this knife off. And as you clean as you go. Your knife gets dirty, you clean it. Your cutting board gets dirty, clean it. I've been trying to do that best I can right now. Not ahead and just finish it with my okay. I'm gonna pour it right inside like so. Okay, this needs acid. Red wine vinegar is usually the one to go with. Put that inside as well. Okay, and then some red pepper flakes. Okay, again, depending on how hot you want it, you determine that after you taste it. And that's basically it. I take my spoon and mix it. Now you do want it to be kind of like an oil, a pourable oil. I do anyway. So after you mix it and you see you want to add more texture or more oil to it, you go ahead and do that. And again, you adjust seasonings. I'm going to add now some more salt and pepper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some more pepper to that as well, crushed pepper. All right, I'm going to add more oil to it as well because I want it to be a little more loose. Okay. Now,
I think it's a texture thing, right? So
yeah,
kind of
it's a texture thing,
important to see what it looks like. I'm trying to move my camera. I'm sorry if I'm like
Here, you see
making
like that?
people feeling sick moving like that.
See,
Okay.
it's almost like an herb oil, basically. You want to see some oil there that drip off this. When you put it on a plate, you're going to see a little palette of the herbs, and also some oil now start to spread around from it. That's the kind of texture you're looking for. Okay, this is called chimichurri, plain and simple. And this goes fantastically with grilled meats. It goes with pork, chicken, fish, what have you. It is just a versatile, amazing sauce. Okay, and it's that simple. And again, with ingredients that can grow in this garden, which makes it even more great. Okay, now, if I wanted to go a different direction with this, okay, give me what's called a piccata sauce. As far as that goes, what I could do is remove the garlic, I'm sorry, not the garlic, the oregano, okay, add chopped cornichon, sweet little pickles, all right, and some lemon juice. That's going to give it a lot of acidity, tartness, okay, and that goes fantastic with fried fish, deep fried calamari, shrimp, what have you. And again, it also goes well with chicken and pork and everything else.
Something happened to the transmission, and I missed what came after the garlic and before the olive oil.
What did I say?
They missed what was in between the garlic. So what came after the garlic and before the olive oil? It was the vinegar.
It was red wine vinegar. I'll say it again. What's in here? It's oregano, parsley, cilantro, olive oil, red wine vinegar, chopped garlic, pepper flakes so far, salt and pepper. And that's it, basically. And then what I said after that also is that if you wanted to go with piccata, you would remove the oregano from that whole technique procedure, add chopped up cornichons, the sweet little pickles, and some lemon juice for more acidity, and that's a great, great, great sauce for fried fish and fried foods in general. Okay, so those are two nice, beautiful little uses for the herbs that we have here in this garden. Again, you could take this and puree it to a finer texture, use it as a base in a soup. Let's say you want to do some steamed mussels, all right? Put your butter in the bottom of that pan, some white wine, some clam juice, hit it with your chimichurri sauce, bring it to a boil, add your mussels and cover it. 3 or 4 minutes, the mussels are open, you're good to go. Take the mussels out, put it in a bowl, put the sauce over it, nice, good, crunchy Italian bread, off to the races.
We have a question. It says, how long will this keep in the refrigerator?
Very good question. It probably won't last long because you're going to eat it. But as far as the one full of oil, I'd say you might want to give it a week or 2 at the most, because the oil is going to preserve it, But, after that, it's going to start changing flavor. The flavor's going to start, it's not fresh anymore. So you're going to lose a lot of that beautiful flavor. As far as the salsa goes, I'd give it 5-6 days the most, a week at the most. After that, you might want to start over again. But even if that gets wilted, the salsa, you go ahead and puree it or put it into pasta sauce, and you don't lose it. Okay, so as they get older and start losing flavor, you always be additions to other dishes, and you don't waste the whole product and the whole technique or the process that you use to get there. Okay, as far as herbs go, if you want to store them or preserve them, okay, the more delicate herbs like basil and parsley and cilantro and mint, they are fantastically, just put them, the stem side, down into a glass of water, okay? As far as basil goes, leave it outside your counter because they don't like the refrigerator. They'll wilt on you and turn black and they're gonna waste, but change the water every day. As far as the other ones, you put them into a jar or a jug full of cold water, put them in the fridge, and then cover them very lightly with a plastic bag, and they'll last a good week or 2. Again, after that, they're gonna be gone. Okay. As far as more hardy herbs like sage and rosemary and thyme, you get a paper towel, nice and damp, wrap them up kind of loose into a plastic bag, into your bottom drawer of your fridge. They should last a week also. These things are not going to last months at a time because they're very delicate. You want to use them. So don't buy big, huge, piles of herbs. You're not going to use them in the next couple of days, but then you're going to lose them. All right. You can freeze them as well. Let's say you wanted to, freeze a tablespoon of parsley, a few tablespoons. What you're gonna do is measure them first. Measure a tablespoon of chopped parsley out, and then put it into a tray of ice cubes, right? Then cover that up with water and freeze it. And so now when you have, later on, middle of the winter, you're looking for fresh parsley, you have a recipe that calls for parsley, you pop out 1 ice cube, all right? It's 1 tablespoon of parsley, throw it into your sauce. The water melts away. It's not gonna make a big difference in whatever you're making, and now you have a fresh herb added to your dish. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, they said that they came out beautiful.
Okay, good. And again,
and I can see people cooking in their
really?
they made jars, made jars.
Nice. Yeah, that chimichurri
Beautiful.
sauce is a winner. It's fantastic. You know, and I think, you know, if we come back on August when more things are in season, I can show you some more stuff. But I think today was a good start. I think a good introduction, me to you, and all that kind of thing. So, you know, I enjoy doing this. I do it for a living, so I know how to do. And you know, the fact that I'm here in this garden is amazing to me. So, you know, I'm looking forward to future demonstrations. Put it that way.
I'm sure that there should be another one.
Okay.
This was great. So I
Good.
hope I'm gonna be able to hang the microphone here and
Want me to
walk
hold it?
next to you. I think I can
Okay.
make it happen. In 1 second. I hope you can hear me. Hold on. Because I am lucky enough to be here and to be able to taste these things. Hold on. I hope, yes. Okay. So I think that was it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it so far.
Mhm.
I just came with two to make it simple. You know, first one.
Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us today. It was really fun, even if it was virtual. I still had a lot of fun. Thank you, Chris, so
No
much.
problem. My pleasure. My pleasure.
It was extremely informative,
Good.
and this thing smells so good. I bet it's delicious. And yeah, it was really, really good.
Good,
Really good.
good. My
So
pleasure.
thank you again,
Yeah, it turned out.
everybody, for being here.
Hope everybody enjoys the food.
Yeah, if you have more questions, you know, we are gonna post this video on our website, the community garden website, where I'm also gonna make the YouTube link available. So if you don't remember something, you can always go back, you know, and retrieve the information that you missed. So maybe we are gonna do this again.
Sure.
Maybe. Okay, maybe. Can
I'm free. I'm
promise.
free in the summertime. I teach high school. I'm free.
Okay. So enjoy your you know, food now that you know that is ready to go, and hope to see you soon. Okay, so good night everybody, and enjoy your meal.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
I didn't bring tasting spoons, but I want to taste it.
Oh,
What was that?
a critter of some sort.
Okay.
That's why I went over there. Good job, honey. I could hear you. I was sitting in the shade.